I'm a social worker and an infertility veteran. I'm married to my college sweetheart, and we have a 4-year-old son and twin girls who are 11 months old today. My name is Sarah, and I am a miraculous mama.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Miraculous Mamas podcast. I'm your host, Elizabeth Joy, and I'm so excited that you are here with me today. We are a podcast that believes in empowering women through storytelling and education. I feel that both of those are so key to building community and empowering each other and ourselves. When you are educated, you come equipped with the tools that you need to advocate for yourself, to advocate for others, and to teach others as well. So it is so important to be open to learning and to educate yourself, especially as a mama. There's so much information out there, or even trying to conceive whatever part of the journey that you are on. There's just an abundance of information out there for you to learn and grow. And that's what we are here doing together, just kind of learning and growing and having different people to come on and teach us and to share with us so that we feel less alone and more in community. And I have a couple things I'm going to share with you guys today. I have Stephanie Turner coming on. She is an actress, and she's in a movie on Netflix right now called Justine. And she's just so much fun to talk to, but she shares some really good information with us, even parental advice, like when she knew that she was ready to decide to try to have kids, and what, she didn't know if she was wanting to put her career on hold, and what kind of pushed her in the direction of going ahead and deciding to become a mom. And she just shares so much with us. It was super interesting talking to her because she talks about what it's like taking on a role and having to be somebody else at work and then come home and be a mom, and how she's able to switch that. And she's just, she's so much fun to talk to. She has a really interesting life, comes from a football background, but she's going to tell us all about that. Before I get into it, it is C-section Awareness Month, and we haven't talked about it yet, guys. So I just realized it's the end of April. I literally have no concept of time right now. My niece asked me the other day, she goes, "Hey, what's the date today?" I was like, April 8th. And she looked at me and she goes, "It's the 14th. I was like, oh, my bad. I was so off, and I still continue to be off. And I feel like with this, especially with the quarantine and everything happening, it's so hard to keep track of time. But we have C-section Awareness Month this month. So I want to start just by saying that I know there's a lot of mamas in my life, and so many mamas that are listening who have had C-sections. And I really, really hope that you've never been made to feel less than, or that you haven't had that conversation with yourself feeling less than, because birth is birth, and you still are a mom. You carried that baby. You still had that baby. And for me, it's incredibly courageous to have your body cut open to save your life, to save your baby's life, whatever it may be. That's major abdominal surgery to have your child. So I think that sometimes there can be a division between the way that things are worded with moms, like natural birth or, whatever it may be. And I think some of that, just kind of needs to be put aside. Just, you're a mom. And I know every single mother that I know would do absolutely anything for their children, and are so extremely happy that they, were blessed with them and got to have them. So, C-section Awareness Month is also just raising awareness around cesareans. So In the United States, about 1 in 3 births end in a C-section, and there's been a lot of studies and things done to show that about 50% of those are preventable. And a huge part of being able to prevent that is by educating yourself, by knowing your options, by knowing what's going on. Even having a doula present decreases your risk of C-section by 28%. And a huge part of that is because we equip you with tons of tools and knowledge and education. However, C-sections are an amazing thing that saves lives and is very medically necessary, but it is highly overused in the United States. And we do have a very high maternal death rate here as well, compared to a lot of other countries. So there is a lot that goes into it. So I would just encourage women, if you're pregnant or planning on becoming a mom, just do a lot of research to equip yourself. Obviously, there's people who elect to have them, and that's totally your choice and totally up to you. But if that's something that you hope to avoid, there is a lot of education that you can do. I encourage you to take any sort of childbirth class, whether it's spinning babies or birthing from within, has a bunch of great ones. The Bradley method, hypnobirthing, all of these courses are going to equip you with tools and education and resources going into it, and help you to better prepare yourself, your body, and going in knowing that you have a voice and that you have options. Again, there are absolutely times that it's medically necessary and it saves lives, and it's so important. And I'm so glad that C-sections are an option and that they do exist. But part of spreading the awareness is also spreading the research behind it. And I just want you guys to be equipped and knowledgeable, but also don't carry any guilt. Don't feel bad if you have had one. And if you wish that you hadn't, there's so many things that you can use to work through as well. There is birth trauma, and there are a lot of things that come with it. So, if you did have a C-section and you're really, really struggling with how your birth experience went, I just encourage you to find some help, to reach out to somebody, whether it's a postpartum doula or a maternal health guidance counselor, somebody to help you work through that, because you'll find a lot of healing and you'll get some resources on how to feel empowered in your experience, in your birth, because you are awesome. And there's so many other things in our lives that are going to knock us down as moms and trying to figure this out. So being confident in who you are and feeling empowered in your birthing experience is so important. And then that leads into feeling empowered as a mom and into motherhood, and it just goes into other areas of your life. So if you are struggling, definitely reach out to somebody, because you're not alone. A lot of women have been there before. I know you could even talk about it in our Miraculous Mamas Facebook group. I know a lot of women are so open to sharing their experiences on there as well. But I just salute all of you C-section mamas who wear your stripes proudly. You guys are awesome. I also want to talk to you guys before I get into today's episode. A while ago, in March, again, I have no track of time right now. I had my friend Tara LaRock on, and she had launched the Mindful Mamas Club app, and I've been using it since I've been pregnant. There's a pregnancy section on there, and I've really been trying to take care of myself while growing this baby. And although I'm really excited, it's been really, really hard. I actually had a breakdown earlier today because I went into quarantine not really looking pregnant, and now I feel like I'm a giant, and I don't get to celebrate this with anybody. And my mom was supposed to be in town this week helping me with baby stuff, and now she can't come visit, and I don't know when I'm going to see her. And My dad still works and he has to go to work. And so I worry about him getting something and bringing it home. And now she can't come right now. And it just, I don't know, today was a super emotional day for me. I also realized that since the loss, I haven't let myself fully get excited about this birth. And just when I was almost like reaching the point of like, okay, I'm going to be excited about this baby, then all the quarantine stuff happened. And I'm somebody who I like celebrating with other people. Like I'm very rarely happy or excited for myself, and I feed off of other people. So when they're celebrating and excited, then I feed off of that. And there is no community right now. We have online community, and I've definitely taken advantage of that, but I don't know. I feel like today it's been built up, and I spent a good part of this morning crying, because this is really freaking hard. Like for everybody who feels isolated right now. And I know the moms who are homeschooling on top of everything else and doing e-learning or whatever it is. Like everybody has their things that they're dealing with right now. And I felt like mine just kind of came to a peak today. And that's also why I wanted to talk to you about this app that I downloaded. It's the Mindful Mamas app. And it's honestly been a game changer for me. The app is perfect for any stage of motherhood. Even if you're trying to conceive, you can use it, or you're empty nesting and all your kids are gone. They totally got you. And I know that you don't need another thing to put on your to-do list, but this app was designed for busy moms, because the women who designed it are busy moms, and they poured their hearts and soul into it. And it has super short mindfulness activities that can fit into virtually any time of your day, from in the morning or in the evening. And they have mommy meditations that you can do with your kids, or ones that you can do on your own. And I've been using it to go to bed at night. Last night I tried the Sleep Like a Mama Bear meditation, and I don't remember much of it because I was sleeping after a few minutes, but I've been telling a lot of people about it. I know I posted about it in the Facebook group because it's just so life-giving. I listen to some of the stuff in there while I'm on a walk with the dog, or since I've had such a hard time connecting, I feel like with this baby, because I've had a lot of fear, sitting down and doing their guided meditations for pregnant mamas, just sitting there and listening to them and really trying to connect has been so helpful for me, as I've been just feeling really alone during this time. Sorry. I told you, it's been a day. I've literally been crying all day. But the Mindful Mamas, they're offering a month free to the listeners. I was talking to Tara and just telling her how useful it was for me. And she knows that a lot of moms are in similar situations, or even if you're trying to conceive, it can be so isolating right now. And so we wanted to offer a free month to you guys listening. So head to www.mindfulmamasclub.com/miraculousmamas to claim your free month. That's Mindful Mamas, MAMAS, mindfulmamasclub.com/miraculousmamas. And you guys will just really enjoy the meditations. I would say definitely take advantage of this free month of meditating. For me, the word meditation tends to throw me off because I'm not great at it, but they make it really easy, whether it's just tiny pauses in your day, or listening to a guided meditation, or sleeping, or like I said, some of the stuff I even listen to while I'm walking the dog, just to try to be intentional with what I'm doing. So it's really been helpful for me. And so I wanted to be able to give that resource to all of the mamas listening today. Ladies, thank you so much for letting me share my heart with you today. I told you it's been a day. I don't know what's happening, but I'm really excited to share the interview with Stephanie Turner with you guys. She's just so much fun to talk to, very down to earth, and I know that you're going to love her. So I'm going to go ahead and grab her. All right, everyone. I have Stephanie Turner here, and I'm so excited that she's on. She is an actor, a writer, a producer, a mama, and she just worked on a really cool project that she's going to tell us about. But we're also just going to talk about mom life as well. So thank you so much, Stephanie, for taking the time to be here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm so excited. So I'd love for you just to kind of tell everyone listening who you are, what you do, and all of that.
Okay, yeah, I'm an actor and filmmaker. I started my career in the entertainment industry as an actor, and then over time started writing and producing short films, and then ultimately produced my first feature film and directed it, which is called Justine. It's on Netflix right now, and I've been really working in industry, which is crazy, but for almost 20 years now.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that is crazy.
Yeah, I started when I was a teenager. So, yeah.
And you come from a big football family. So
yeah.
How did you, I guess, get into the film industry coming from a football family?
So my dad is an NFL football coach, and my brother is now an NFL coach as well. And so I grew up moving around the country because my dad was with different teams. So I was born in LA, and then I lived in Texas, Dallas, the DC area, Virginia, and San Diego. And yeah, I moved around. So I think I always loved the arts. I always took dance class. I took singing lessons. I did acting, community theater type stuff. So it really was something I feel like I was born with. Like, it was in my DNA that I loved, like, the idea of performing and the arts. And it was so different than football. I mean, I grew up around football, and I love that world because it's kind of just, it's in my blood. It's what my family has done, and really what determined where I lived and all of these things growing up. But I think I also picked entertainment and storytelling and all of that because it is so different than football. And I think I really craved as a kid my own identity because so much of our world was determined by my dad and his job and team. And so I think I craved my own identity, and that was maybe a way for me to create that. But at the same time, there are so many things in filmmaking that are similar to sports, and which is like, every film set you're on is like a team. You really have this core group of people, and everybody gets really close, and you're in this thing together, and you're building something, and you want it to succeed. And that's so similar to being a part of a football team, and the families and everybody feels very, very close in that setting, like you're a part of it, which, so I do see the similarities in some ways.
Yeah. I was just thinking when you were saying that, it has to probably be difficult too, though, when you're on these sets and you're working so closely knit with these people and they do become a part of your family and then the project's over.
Yeah. No, I think it is a little jarring. I think you go through this period of, one, there's like, if you're an actor in it and you're playing a character, you're so invested in who that person is, and you kind of become that person, and you try to take on their mannerisms, and you react in the ways that they would react. And so it's hard to not let that bleed into your personal life. But also, your filmmaking can be such an intense thing because it costs a lot of money, and you have a limited amount of days. Like our movie, we shot it in 20 days. And
wow.
So you kind of like, you have to get it done, and it's intense, and you start early in the morning, and you go and you try to get everything done. And so you're really with these people in this kind of intense, psychologically, straining situation. And then it ends, and you're kind of like, oh, wait, where are those people? What are they doing? Why am I not seeing them at 6 a.m. every day? So I think there's a little bit of it's almost like the post-holiday blues or something that, you have, where there's all this excitement and, and then it's over and it kind of dies down, and then you go back to your normal life. And it definitely, I think you have to kind of have tools, mental health tools, to go in and out of projects and feel, and in and out of characters as an actor, and feel like you can go back to yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break because I know everyone right now is in panic mode for Mother's Day. It is coming up, you guys. So I have the perfect gift for you guys to give your mom, and that is the skylight frame. It is amazing. It is honestly the perfect Mother's Day gift, especially if you don't get to spend that time with your mom or if you're far away. I'm not able to visit my mom as much as I'd like to. As I shared earlier, my mom was supposed to be here this week and she can't, and it makes me so sad. So, but she has the skylight frame, which is a great way for us to keep in touch. It's a touch screen photo frame that you can email photos to, and they appear in seconds. So mom can see all of your favorite moments. So my mom has 4 kids, 13 grandkids, 3 great grandkids, and everyone has this email. So they constantly send her pictures, and we're spread out across a few different states. But this way she feels a part of our lives and we can stay in touch. I set it up for her mom, and receiving that first photo was like, oh my gosh, she was so excited. And if she hasn't gotten one in a while, she'll write us and be like, hey, can you guys send me some photos? And it's a really cool way to definitely keep in touch. And it's so hard keeping in touch, right? And right now it's more important than ever to keep in touch with the ones that you love. And the easiest way to do that is Skylight, a photo frame that you can email photos to anytime, anywhere. It's a great way to feel close, even when you're separated, and multiple people can send photos to the frame. And when my mom receives a frame, or when she receives a photo, she always double taps it right away to let us know, so that you get a like back, and we know that she gets it. So, and it also matches, just in case you guys were wondering, it's a gorgeous 10-inch touch frame. So you can swipe through photos with your finger, and it matches with any decor in your house. And there's 100% satisfaction guaranteed. So if you don't love your skylight, they'll offer you a full refund. Now, as a special holiday offer for you guys, you can get $10 off your purchase of a skylight frame when you go to skylightframe.com/mama and enter code MAMA. That's right. To get $10 off your purchase of a skylight frame, go to skylightframe.com/mama and enter code MAMA. That's SKYLIGHTFRAME.com/mama. Now back to the episode. I would love to get into your character on your last project that you did. But before we do that, I'd love for you to, so you have 2 kids.
Yes.
So I'd love for you just to kind of tell us, so I'm pregnant with my first kid right now, and I work as a birth.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I work as a birth doula, and I've just realized, like, I studied so much as a doula, but being in it now, I'm learning so much. I'm like, wait, nobody told me this. When you're pregnant, then this happens and this happens. And it's like, you are ready, but you aren't ready. And, you know, there's no way to prepare. I'm sure, like, for your projects and your roles, there's so much preparing and so much that goes into it. But being a mom, it's like, you can read all of the books. You can prepare for that day of birth. You can prepare to be a mom. But every situation is so different. Every kid is different. Every experience is different. So it's like nice to have some tools, but it's also like a free for all as well.
Yeah.
So I'd love for you just to kind of share your experience.
Yeah. I mean, I have a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old, and I feel like, you know, as women, we hear stories before we have kids. We hear, you know, other people's birth stories, and we hear other women tell us, oh, this is how it is, or whatever. And I decided that I don't think we really hear any of that until we have kids. Because I think it's so hard to have perspective. Like, if I haven't had a kid yet and someone's telling me about their birth story and what it was like, and then went to the hospital, like, I have no perspective of what they're going through. So I'm just hearing it as information, like, oh, wow, yeah, that sounds really tough. But then once you've been through it and you hear those details, you know exactly what it means, if that makes sense. And it's this I think the experience of having children is just something that you really can't grasp until you've done it. And I'm saying that to myself as a woman that didn't have kids years ago too, because I feel like I definitely went through times in my life where I was like, oh, people need to do this with their kids and they need to do that. And you have no idea what it entails. And it can be, obviously it's very rewarding. It can be very challenging. I'm right now in a challenging phase because we're all on quarantine, and my 4-year-old is super active and she hasn't been able to go to school for 3 weeks, and schools are closed, and she wants my attention all the time, and it's challenging to have them both home and to try to do work stuff. And but yeah, I mean, I think going back to just my journey as becoming a mom, I think that for me, like I knew I wanted kids, and I was also someone who was really pursuing a career, and I think that was a big decision for me. It was when should I have kids, and now, or then, or should I wait, or I hadn't made the movie yet before, and I was trying to get my first film made, and I was debating, do I want to get pregnant when I haven't done X, Y, and Z yet in my career? And someone told me, a friend of mine said to me, yeah, but if you feel like you want to get pregnant, if you feel like you want to have a baby, then you should pursue that, because you never know how becoming a mom will help your career or influence your career or make you a better art, and not like in a success kind of based way, but just like make you a better artist, and how it will influence you as a person, which will then change your art and change the work that you do. And I really tell people that now, if I see women in the same position that I'm in, where they're like, feeling like if they have a baby, it's going to stunt their career in some way, or it's going to put them back. And I think everyone has to sort of follow what they feel is the best time. And it's challenging to be a woman that's working and also trying to have a baby and raise a family and all of that. But I know from my own experience, deciding to get pregnant and having a baby, it did change. It opened up my world in so many different ways. And one of those ways was in my work, in the types of characters I feel I can play, in the stuff that I write, in all of the work I do. I feel like becoming a mom influenced that in a very positive way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is a cool perspective that I haven't really heard before. I did hear one person say that having kids made her a harder worker because she's no longer just doing it for herself. She's doing it for her children, and she wants to show them what they're capable of through her pushing herself. And I just think that that's so cool, because I think we are living in a time where more and more, like as a woman, you don't have to give up your career to have a family, and you find ways to make it work and to blend, but still so much of the weight is put on the woman, because it is your body that's changing. It's your body that's giving birth. You have to take time out to let yourself heal. You don't know what your postpartum journey will be like. And so there still is that added like responsibilities on the mother in the family unit.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, we're going to take a quick break because you guys, so I discovered this website that I am currently obsessed with now called Uncommon Goods. And I went on there to look for something for my mom for Mother's Day. But what ended up happening is I now have 52 items on my wish list from the site, because they have the coolest stuff. They have something for every occasion. So I found stuff for the nursery. I found stuff for our kitchen. I found stuff for our garden. They have amazing wedding gifts, Mother's Day gifts, graduation gifts, literally everything. So I go on there to find something for my mom. And you guys, I don't know if your family is like mine, but we love passing on family recipes. And my grandma passed away when I was 8. So my mom has all these recipes saved that my grandma hand wrote out. And they have a personalized family recipe board. So it's really, really cool. You can have them do like a font on there, or you can actually get the recipe etched on this board of the handwriting that it was written in. And it's a big board. It's a 12x9, but it's so cool. I thought that was such a thoughtful gift to give. It's on really nice cherry oak. As soon as I saw it, I texted my siblings. I'm like, we have to get Mom this board because she will cry. But I cannot go on enough about this site because they are so cool and everything's so unique. They're all things that I've never seen before. So it's unique, fun, beautiful gifts for everyone in your life, including yourself, which obviously I found a lot of things on there. I was showing Vito today. But you can find the perfect thing for whoever you're shopping for, something that you never knew existed, but feels like it was made just for them. And right now you can't really be there in person for Mother's Day or graduation. So it's even more of a reason to celebrate these special occasions with unique, thoughtful gifts. Whether it's a personalized bird feeder for the garden or a boxed wine dispenser sphere for elevated entertainment or a puzzle featuring famous females from history. They literally have the most fun, original, creative gifts that your family and friends will love and remember forever. And you guys know that we love working with companies that give back. Uncommon Goods donates $1 for every purchase and has given more than $2 million to nonprofit organizations like RAIN, which is the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network, and to IRC, the International Rescue Committee. They support good causes like paid family leave, a fair living wage. They don't sell products made with fur, feather, or leather. They support small businesses and local artists, which is more of a reason to purchase from them. Uncommon Goods knows finding the perfect gift can be really hard, so they want to make it fun and easy for you guys. So right now, go to uncommongoods.com and get 10% off your purchase if you text MAMAS to 56320. That's uncommongoods.com. And don't forget to text MAMAS to 56320 for 10% off. And you guys actually send me a picture of what you end up getting because I'm really curious because as of right now, there's way too many things on the site that I can't decide what I want. So show me what you guys are getting. But make sure that you text MAMAS to 56320 for 10% off at uncommongoods.com. Now back to the episode. I would love for you, if you're open to sharing your birth stories with us, because I know you said having a baby definitely gave you a different perspective. And I feel like now being pregnant, it's just, I want to hear all of the birth stories to mentally prepare myself as well.
Yeah. Okay, so with my first, let me remember. Yeah, so my first, she was born exactly on her due date.
Oh, wow.
My contractions started, I think, like 36 hours before she was born. They started, very slow, like as I think is typical with first births. And so they were slow and I kind of labored at home and just, of course was like super anxious and ready to have the baby and all of that, but just tried to stay calm. And, as they got closer together, I think they were about 5 minutes apart. I was advised by my doctors and the birthing class I went to that said, wait until they're like 5 minutes apart before you go to the hospital because then you won't get sent home. Typically, like then it's a sign that you'll probably be dilated enough. So I went to the hospital, and, got admitted, checked for dilation. And I was like just on the brink of like maybe going to be sent home because I was only like, I think 2.5 or 3 centimeters. They were like, okay, you can stay. Which this is something I didn't know was like the check for dilation is like being assaulted. It is pretty aggressive.
Yeah, not comfortable.
Yeah. So that was a little bit of a surprise, but I don't know, maybe it was better that I didn't know going in, because it was just like, I didn't anticipate it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So with my first birth, I mean, it kind of took a while. I mean, I think I was admitted around midnight, and I had her at 9 p.m. the following day. So I went into labor naturally, like it wasn't induced or anything. And I did get an epidural, but with my epidural, it worked and made me comfortable throughout most of the day. But I later found out maybe it was a placement issue, or maybe the drug that they used or something I wasn't that responsive to, because by the time I started pushing, I could feel everything. But it was my first time, so I didn't know. Like, I was in pain, and I was saying to my doctor, it really hurts. And she was saying, do you feel pressure or do you feel pain? And I was like, well, it hurts. So I think it's pain. I mean, I didn't have anything to compare it to, because it was my first time giving birth. And I had like a button on my, to give myself more, but it wasn't working. And so I ended up pushing for almost 3 hours. It was very long, longer, I think, than the average amount of time to push. And what was happening with my daughter was she was coming out, and then as soon as I would release the push, she would go back in.
Mm-hmm.
And so she couldn't clear my pelvic bone, I guess. And then after almost 3 hours of pushing, my doctor I love my doctor, and she just kept saying, like, you can do this, just keep going, just keep going. And finally she came out, felt it all. It was terrible. But a huge relief getting her out. And then, you just kind of like, try to forget about it. Although and you're just so happy that it's over. I was very, very sore for a long time. Afterward, my whole body, because I pushed for so long, like my back, my shoulders, because you're hunched over in this position, was incredibly sore for the next few days. I also, which I didn't realize, I broke out in like this rash of hives on my face. And I think that was just from pushing so hard for so long. But that went away after, 24 hours or so. I also, just in recovery, it took me several months to really feel just normal. Like long walks would make me really sore. Not necessarily it was more of like a muscular soreness, like kind of like my lower abs, the whole groin region. But it was more of like a muscular soreness rather than rather than the part that I tore. It was more of just general, if I went on a long walk, I would have kind of just muscular soreness the next couple of days, which I didn't know that really happened. And I remember even talking to my doctor after and saying, I'm still sore. And she's like, oh, really? I don't hear that often. I'm like, right. I don't know. I mean, obviously it's related to giving birth, but
right.
So,
but you want to hear that it's normal. Them to be like, yeah, that's totally normal. What you're experiencing is fine.
Right. But you're like, okay, I guess, I don't know. But yeah. And then with my second birth, with my son, he was cozy and mellow and just wanted to stay in my belly. And funny because I had in my mind, because they say, oh, your second one, they're going to come early, you're not going to make it to your due date. So I was like, oh, great. I'm going to just give birth. It's going to be quick and easy. With him, I think for 2 weeks before he was born, I was dilated with 2 centimeters and just walking around. I was having contractions for a good week and a half to 2 weeks before he was born. They were they were light contractions, and they were, 10 minutes apart or so. And sometimes they'd stop for a period of time. But of course, I thought I was going to go into labor because I'd already had a baby before. So I went and got checked. One night, they were like more like 5 minutes apart, and I went to the hospital. My husband took me, and they were like, "Oh yeah, you're about 2.5 centimeters dilated, but your contractions aren't progressing, so just go home." So I was like, "Okay, great." And then I think it was a week later, my doctor suggested that I be induced because his due date was the February 21st, and I was induced on the 20th. So I waited up until, I wasn't against being induced, but I just kind of wanted to see what would happen naturally. And I had gestational diabetes with my second. I don't know why I didn't have it with my first. He wasn't particularly large. Like, it just was something that I was diagnosed with. And my doctor recommended, because I was already dilated and because I'd been having contractions for a while, she recommended that it'd probably be better to just schedule an induction rather than let it keep going and wait and see, which I was happy for because, after having contractions for 2 weeks, I felt like it was time.
Yeah.
And with him, it was, much different. I was able to let the anesthesiologist know what happened with my first epidural, and because I gave birth at the same hospital, he was able to look it up and see what they gave me, which was really helpful. And, or I don't know if he looked up my exact file, but he knew the time, the date, like the year that I gave birth to my daughter. He was like, "Oh, okay. At that time we were using X, Y, and Z in the hospital. So let me try a different variation of that." The epidural worked really well. I did not feel the pain that I felt with my first. And I think I only pushed for 15 minutes or 20 minutes or something. So yeah, it was a much different experience.
Yeah. Did you experience that same soreness after with your second?
I didn't as much. I mean, I think I had the normal, just like postpartum stuff for the first, month or two, but I did not feel the same, sort of, muscular soreness, which I think maybe was just a result of how long I had to push with my first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. Or maybe even because she was kind of stuck. So just your muscles in that area, what they were doing and working. I mean, it's doing the craziest ab workout and body workout of your life, giving labor. So, well, and the thing with gestational diabetes too is it's such a random thing because you could be super healthy and get it. There's no rhyme or reason to why. There's some people who maybe have some signs that they could potentially get it, but for tons of women, there's no signs there, anything like that. And it's just something that randomly happens and it's completely out of your control.
Yeah, no, it's, my doctor, because I didn't have any sign of it with my first pregnancy. And I remember my doctor seeing the first numbers in the first screening, and was really surprised and thought, okay, maybe there's just something off. And so go and do the secondary test, which is I'm sure the story, you drink the thing and then you wait an hour and then you get tested and then you drink another dose of it. And then, it's a long ordeal. So I encourage people, do the first test correctly, follow all the rules, don't eat anything, watch what you're eating the week or two leading up to it. Because you don't want to have to go through the secondary screening if you don't have to. But yeah, then the secondary screening came back and it was, positive that I had it. But, and for me, I didn't have to take my medication for it. I was able to control it with diet. So the hospital where I gave birth, they assigned me a dietitian that's if you get diagnosed with gestational diabetes, they have you work with a nurse that handles it. And she was great. And I tested my blood sugars and I ate a specific diet that is different than at first I thought, okay, I can't have any carbs, or I can't have, what am I only going to eat? Like salads and
it's no fun.
But yeah, then I saw there's some really helpful worksheets and diet meal plans that they gave me that were helpful. Like you can have carbs, but you can have like a piece of bread, but it has to be like this carb count. And, you kind of like piece together your meals. And so it wasn't totally complete torture. But yeah.
Yeah. Whenever I hear anything with no carbs, all I think is like, that's so miserable because
I know
carbs make me happy.
Yeah. Well, especially like when you're pregnant, you feel like you need that. Like carbs are energy and, yeah, but we found a way. I found a way to get my carbs in.
Yeah, for sure. That's so awesome. We're going to take a quick break to talk about a fun way to pass the time while you're engaging your brain and enjoying fun visuals and a fun storyline. And your answer is Best Fiends. I now have collected a lot of characters. You get to collect tons of characters along the way. I just unlocked some weird level where I got to gain tons of extra points. I'm on level 253. I know I've come a long ways if you guys have been listening, but it's a casual game that anyone can play, and you can spend as much or as little time in the game as you'd like. I know some days I just spend a few minutes, and then there's times where I've been playing it for an hour or two because it's just really fun and it's engaging. It's something that I probably find myself doing every single day, and you can send friends and family gifts on there. They can send stuff to you, and you can compete against them. And it's just a really fun game. There's tons of bright colors and visuals that are awesome. I know once you get to certain levels, the game changes, and they're constantly updating it so that you get new content. And I am invested. It's a 5-star rated game, guys. So that kind of speaks for itself. It's challenging and there's fun puzzles. I actually am stuck on 253 now. So I've played this level so many times and I've ran out of life and had to get more because for some reason this one just keeps getting me stuck. But it's definitely a fun way to engage your brain and to pass some time. So I always find myself just honestly playing at random times of the day, and it does not require internet access to play. It's great for traveling. You can play anywhere. And yeah, it's a really fun game. I do have tons of characters now, and I always have to upgrade them and try to get them, but I thought I had almost all the characters, and then I realized I'm actually kind of far away. But it's still fun collecting them. It engages your brain with fun puzzles, and you collect its characters. And with over 100 million downloads, this 5-star rated mobile puzzle game is a must play. Download Best Fiends free on the Apple App Store or Google Play. That's Friends without the R, Best Fiends. So I would love for you to kind of talk about then Justine, the film that you just did, because you started writing that before you became a mom, right?
Yes.
But everything didn't come into fruition until after. So I'd love to kind of hear, just based on even the advice that your friend gave you, how it might change you as an artist, how writing the first draft before you were a mom and then becoming a mom changed it. And just kind of how the film developed. Or first of all, tell us what it's about.
Okay. Yeah, so it's about a single mom of 2 kids who is forced to move in with her father-in-law because her husband, who was a Marine, was recently killed. And she takes a job as a nanny to an 8-year-old little girl who has spina bifida and is in a wheelchair. And the story really is about these 2 families and the bond between this caretaker and the little girl, and how they kind of help one another overcome these personal obstacles in their lives. So it's a drama, and but it has, its quirky moments to it. And, but yeah, I guess, I don't know, over the course of writing the first draft to then actually making the film, I mean, the script went through a lot of different variations and revisions. And, so I'm sure through that time, my experiences influenced, some of the changes that I made to it. I mean, I think the biggest change that I think becoming a mom had on it was just in playing the role of, I play the role of Lisa, the woman who, the single mom who takes the job. So, I wrote it having not had kids, but then I had my daughter at the time that I was actually playing the role. And I think just, having the experience of having a child, influenced my portrayal of this mother. And this mother is, my character is struggling, dealing with grief, dealing with, a big change in her life, and is having a really hard time connecting with her kids. And so I think the fact that, I had a child at the time really helped me connect with that in a different way. I mean, as actors, I think we are trained to find ways to connect with characters, even if they're super different than us, or they're not, coming from similar circumstances as us. But the more kind of concrete you can make something pulling from your own life, I think the more realistic it can become.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I grew up in the arts. My mom's a musical theater teacher, so I grew up doing a lot of that stuff. And I used to, 10 years ago or more, I used to do like some short films and indie stuff just because I really enjoyed it and I loved getting into characters.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like I could do it now. I can't even do public speaking now. I'm like, what happened to me? But it's just, it is really crazy though, because you do take on this role and, like you said before, you filmed this in 20 days. So basically this is your life for 20 days is being this other person. So how do you disconnect from that character, in real life, I guess?
I mean, I think it's challenging. I think it's, the good thing and the bad thing, I guess, about, shooting a movie or being on a set is that because it is such a limited period of time, your days are so long and you're just really, it has a beginning and end, and you're just focused on sort of getting it done. Or I was at least. And so I didn't really have a ton of downtime within that shoot. So we did a 20-day shoot, but we had, we had 2 days off. We had kind of a weird weekly schedule, but we took a weekend off basically. So we would shoot for 5 days, have 2 days off, shoot for 5 days, have 2 days off. But a shooting day, I remember when I was shooting and my daughter was 2.5 almost. And I didn't see, I saw her, I would get home around 7. I would leave before she got up to go shoot. And then I would get home right before she went to bed. So I got to put her to bed, which was really nice that I had that time with her. But for, that work week, I really only saw her at bedtime, which is not an ideal schedule for, the long haul. But when you think, okay, it's essentially a month. It's a month where I'm not going to have a ton of quality time with her during the week. I'm just going to be able to see her at bedtime. And then, when on our days off, I would try to take her to go do something. And at that, I think on those days, to answer your question, I would just really try to not think about the movie. I mean, of course, there's always things you have to, because I was the director as well, there's things you have to deal with. There's questions you have to answer. There's emails you have to respond to. there's stuff you have to prepare for the next week, but I would really try to just not think about the character. I would try to just be present, be with my daughter, be with my family. And, but you know, when you're like, when I'm playing a character, they're always kind of living in me until the job is done. I mean, when I could really let go of the character of Lisa and is when we wrapped, you know, when we had our last day of shooting, um, and I just could kind of like take a deep breath and like let her go, because for many years I had written this character. I wanted to play the role, and she was kind of living in me and being created in me. And, she is sad and she's angry in a lot of ways. And so I was carrying that, and trying, you know, not tapping into it all the time, but she was living in me. And so it felt really good to have completed the shoot and let her go, you know?
Yeah. Wow. I can't even imagine. It's such amazing work though, because you get to, like, people who see the film who are dealing with grief or loss, or, you know, single moms who aren't in the best situations. I'm sure that they can relate so much to the film Justine and to your character. And I think that that's also why people are so drawn to the arts, right? You get to see a piece of yourself in it. But being on that other side of it, like being in that character, it's like, whoa. It's amazing, like what you do, because like I said, I definitely couldn't do it. So it's amazing that people are able to just completely put their personal lives aside and tap into this other person who needs to be displayed.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that's why I loved the arts growing up too. I mean, I think I watched a lot of movies and TV as a kid, and I loved seeing and learning about different people and what they were going through the, you know, through film and TV. And I think that most actors are pretty empathetic people. And I think that I would definitely watch something and sort of take on that feeling, or really try to put myself in that person's shoes, or think about things in a different way after I saw them. And so that's I think what I try to do with my work is just make people think, show them something maybe they haven't seen before. And it's been really nice to see now that it is on Netflix and the world can see it. Just getting messages from people around the world saying, you know, I really connected with the character because of this, or, you know, and also like a big part of the story is, or I guess the story of the film is that, you know, a lot of people didn't really like my character, the Lisa character, in the script phase, and maybe even in the film, just because they think of her as an unlikable character. And that was something that was intentional. I didn't, not that I wanted to make her unlikable, but I wanted to create a character who could be complex. I wanted to create a female character who wasn't just pleasing everybody, and was being how she wanted to be and wasn't apologizing for it. And I think that's something that we see in our lives. I think we obviously we all run into a wide range of people, whether it's, you know, our family members or someone we run into getting our coffee in the morning or whatever, but we see those different emotions and reactions and people in the world. But on film and in TV, like, I don't see a lot of women who just get to be that way and get to be quote unquote unlikable. And so I wanted to explore that. And so it's been nice to see like the response from people that have watched it and connected with her and have appreciated that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is true though. I mean, that you do see so many roles, especially when it's the mom role, it's the nurturer, the caretaker, is kind of pleasing everybody. And that's something that society has kind of put out there, but it's like, it's more common to see a male role that's more unlikable or rigid or just doing what they want or going like, this is how I'm going through this process of grief or whatever it is. And this is my process, not yours. You see that
Right.
more in a male role, not so much a female role, but it's like so true. Like we have our own lives, our own processes, and our job isn't to please everyone.
Right. Yeah. And I think how many films or just even the idea of this sort of like brooding, grumpy guy and that everybody's, and it could be like the lead of the movie and he's like, rude to people and, pushes them aside or cheats on women or is a womanizer, whatever. And everybody's like, oh, wow, he's so great. Or like, hopefully he'll come around one of these days. And we don't really see female characters like that. And of course, like mothers, we want them. Yeah, we want moms to be nurturing and we want them to be loving. And I'm sure like most mothers want to be that all the time. Like we want to be everything for our kids. But the reality is like we can't be all the time and we aren't all the time. And especially if you're going through a huge trauma in your life. And that's okay. And I think that's like the ebbs and flows and the waves of life. And to see, I don't know, I enjoy personally watching films about people struggling through things in life because it makes me feel like if I'm struggling through something, I'm not alone. Or I get to see how somebody else deals with something so I think with this film, that was definitely something I was striving for, was just to make it feel really very real and relatable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what's next for you?
So I have a couple other scripts that I'm working on. I have another feature film script that I'm trying to get made, and then some TV stuff that I'm developing, and just, keep going. It feels like, getting one movie made was such an accomplishment, and it's felt great. But then there's also this feeling of like, okay, like, well, what's next? It's not, it doesn't end there. So yeah, it's really just been continuing to create and I'm an actor. I've been an actor for a long time. So it's like, I would love to continue to act in other people's things and other projects. And if auditions and roles come up, then I definitely pursue those. But I think it's been very empowering for me as an actor who for many years was just waiting to get auditions, waiting to get opportunities. Been really empowering to now be creating my own opportunities and feeling like, okay, like I can write something again and I can take that journey. Not that it's easy to take a journey to get something made, but to make something on your own, but it's doable. And that's like a very fun, engaging, rewarding process, as opposed to just like sitting and waiting for somebody to hire you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And I think that that's true though of anything. Like your first time going through something, you overcome so many obstacles and you continue to learn and grow. And then the next time you're like, okay, so I know how the process is. I know that I can do this. And I feel like it just inspires you to want to keep going and doing more.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like that's very true. Because the first time seems to be like the biggest struggle.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah, there's just so much you don't know. The first time you do something, even as prepared. I mean, it's like birth plan or like,
right.
preparing to have, it's, there's so many things you can think and prepare for. And that's how I was making the film. Like I tried to be, prepping with the director of photography as much as I could, and, prepping with different departments as much as I could, and doing all of this sort of prep work, thinking, okay, I'm going to be really on top of this. But then you're in the middle of it and something comes up that you never even thought of, or something comes up that is different than what you thought it was going to be. And it's that on the job kind of learning that is, invaluable. And it's just, it's not something you can really anticipate, because every situation is different and every scenario is going to bring up, new challenges. And so, you just learn and remember it for the next time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. So where can people find out more about what you're doing? Or if there's any place that you want them to follow you, or if you just want everyone to go watch Justine, let us know.
Yeah. So Justine is on Netflix and you can watch that anytime. And on social media, I'm on Instagram and Twitter. So Twitter, I'm at Football Brat because of my, football background. And then on Instagram, I'm Stefanitely.
All right, perfect. And I will have all of that in the show notes for everyone as well. Thank you so much for taking time to come on and chat. I know that everyone, these are just like weird times, and it's hard, like you said, having kids at home. Before we hopped on the interview, you're like, somebody might bust in the door screaming. I don't know.
Right.
So I know everybody's schedules are kind of all out of whack, and everyone's kind of just trying to not drive each other crazy in the close quarters.
I mean, the nice thing is like, we're all in the same boat, which is, in a lot of ways feels reassuring. Sometimes it's like as moms or as working moms, I feel the pressure of like, oh no, like if they hear my kid in the background or if this happens or that, like I want it to be perfect and professional. And now everyone has kids in the background because we're all home. So it's like, all right, we're all doing this together.
Right, exactly. Well, thank you so much for taking the time and coming on. It was awesome talking to you and just kind of hearing about your projects that you're doing and just your motherhood journey. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm just so grateful for the time that people are taking to do these interviews right now. I know with everyone being home, you'd think that you have all this time on your hand, but it's quite opposite for a lot of people who are trying to work from home and teach their kids from home and just everything on top of it. It's hard to kind of carve out time. So I'm just so grateful for her to come on and share with us. Thank you, Stephanie, for taking the time to be with us. If you guys are listening, just hit the subscribe button and make sure that you are staying up to date on the episodes being released. And if you have enjoyed any of these interviews or gotten something out of them, go to iTunes and rate and leave a review, because that is how we get the word out there and more mamas and women trying to conceive can hear about our podcast. And I just thank you guys so much for you taking the time to listen. I know that your lives are hectic right now, and I really, really appreciate it. Make sure you join us at the Facebook group, Miraculous Mamas. Also follow us on Instagram and Twitter. And you can check out miraculousmamas.com. I have my pregnancy blogs up there. It's a week-by-week blog from my very first symptoms at 4 weeks and how I was feeling up until now. And, I shared at the beginning of the podcast how it's been really hard to get really excited and to feel connected. And I know I'm not alone. And I know that I already have some guilt with that because I just want to rejoice in this, but it's been a struggle. So, if you guys want to see the week-by-week blog, head to miraculousmamas.com, where I share a lot of things from arguments Vito and I have had about parenting already to pregnancy things that have happened. It's definitely the emotional, the physical, the spiritual side of it all. you guys can head there. Thank you again so much for taking time to be with me today, and I look forward to bringing you guys awesome information. The month of May is jam-packed, full of amazing stuff. It's Foster Care Awareness Month. It's Maternal Health Awareness Month. So there's a lot of great episodes coming out, and I hope all of you are staying safe. You're staying healthy. You are taking this time to really enjoy your family as much as they may be driving you crazy. Just be present with them and grateful for them, because life truly is a gift. So thank you guys so much. I love you, and I will see you next week.